Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Ormark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we're going to make a card using a sheet of designer series paper. Now this is in the new mini catalogue, and on page 54 you have the best dressed suite. So you've got lovely sort of handbags and things like that. There is a coordinating die that you can actually cut out the handbag and make your own little handbags. The designer series paper is what we're using. And you've got lots of little embellishments and bits and pieces as well on there. And there is a stamp set if you fancy the stamp set as well. And the stamp set is lipsticks and perfumes and things like that, but I wanted to be able to use just one sheet of the designer series paper, and this is part of the sampler pack that you can get if you join Stampin' Up during the celebration period, and there will be a link over to my website which will give you all of the details over on there. So this piece of designer series paper has lovely handbags on this side and has your shoes, all sorts of different shoes and slippers and things like that on the other side. So I thought that we would use this side for the card base or for our matte piece. So if you have your piece of cardstock cut in half, scored in half to give you your blank, you're then going to use, I wanted to pick up the colours in this. So I wanted to pick up this Blackberry Bliss. So I have done a matte of Blackberry Bliss. So let's just get the, I've got all these on little sort of pieces and things to show you. Okay, card blank. This piece is going to be 1/4 of an inch smaller. So for me, this is measuring 5 and a half by 3 3/4. So we're going to cut this piece, the piece of designer series paper is going to be cut for me 1/4 of an inch smaller, which is 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. So whatever your measurements are, just make sure that you cut it out of the long side like that. Okay, and you will be left with a piece over at the end on both sides. And this is where you can cut some of these lovely little handbags out. So the piece that I had left over the end enabled me to cut out, let me show you, all of these little handbags. So this one I've actually cut the handle part off, but I haven't on these ones. So you've got these two, you've got those two, you've got those two, and you've got those two, all cut out of just that tiny little sort of strip that was left over. So I thought that we use that to make the card with. So we're going to have some strips to go across. So I've chosen mint macaron because I wanted the mint macaron to tie in, because this is mint macaron. So this little piece measures, it is 3 3/4 by 1 1/4. And then I have taken just a little strip of the the Blackberry Bliss, and that's going to go just down at the bottom because I wanted to have a different layer at the top to the bottom. So I wanted it to come down like this with the mint macaron and the Blackberry Bliss. So it's just a tiny little piece. This is only, what is it? Just over 1/4 of an inch. But do your own size measurements. It's very difficult for me to give you exact measurements because they're little scraps, and it doesn't have to be exact. It's whatever you've got over. And I'm going to put this right down at the bottom because I want that to be my piece that covers it up. So I'm just going to make sure that I've slid that right to the bottom so you can't see the mint macaron through. And then that makes that quite easy for us to then put this little piece in over the top. So let's just get this piece in over the top here, and then this can be measured down so that we have the 1/4 of an inch gap that we want on both pieces, like that. And as I say, if we need to just take, which we do just need to take this little piece off because it's a little bit wider, we can just quite easily do that with our snips. There we go. So that's just taken that little piece off so that then it sits perfectly. So this piece is going to sit in on here. Now I'm lying it out to start off with because what I want to do is to make sure that I've got everything in the place that I want. Yes, that's going to work perfectly. So I'm then going to have my handbags across the front. And then I've taken, because I'm using this such a lot because it's lovely. These dies are from the Painted Labels dies, and I have taken the swirly piece because I thought the swirly piece would look quite nice just underneath to give a bit of balance. So if we have this sort of fairly in the centre like that, and then the Happy Birthday, which is from the Peaceful Moments. So if you've got the Peaceful Poppy set, the Happy Birthday on the Peaceful Moments is lovely. So many lovely sentiments on here. I really like this set because it has just something for everything, and the fonts are really pretty. So I've done the Happy Birthday, and that's going to sit up here like that. So that's why I need to just jiggle things around. So that's going to come down fairly low, actually. In fact, I might have that down like that. I want some of the shoes and things to show, so I think I might take that down just a little bit further. So I'm going to take it like that, I think. Okay, so we can now start to put this together. So let's take our Blackberry Bliss to start off with and put that down at the bottom. It's lovely to be able to do cards using paper, using stamp, using inks. And the nice thing is that all our cardstock and inks and everything blend in together absolutely perfectly. So they coordinate just beautifully. Now, was I going to put, so I'm not going to put any ribbon or anything on this. I think that that would just be a bit too much. So I'm just going to put all of these pieces on. So that's this piece of card on here. Just line that up. Like that. Then we can do, this piece has got to go down next, hasn't it? I need to just make sure my Happy Birthday is up in the right position. Just slightly off centre, I think. That down on there, then that's going to go in the centre. That's perfect, isn't it? Okay, so this is going to be stuck down. So I don't want extra dimension on there. So just, again, the wet glue is absolutely brilliant. You can use fine tip glue pens, but I find that just a little bit of glue in here like that works perfectly. And then you can work out which way you want it up. It works sort of any way you want. And we're just going to put that in like that. And put that piece down, which just adds a little bit of a fun element in there. Then this piece is going to go in across on the top like that. And we'll have the mint macaron piece at the top and the other at the bottom. And then we're just going to put this piece down like this in the centre. So we've got an even amount of the little piece at the top and the bottom coming out. And just put that down like that. There we go. And then we can start putting the little handbags in. And the handbags I am going to put up with some dimensionals. So that one inside, that one inside. We're going to have 3 like that because that picks up the colours. And then these little mint macaron ones we're going to have in at the end. So I think just those ones. Let's put this one in on the centre first of all. So I'm going to take some mini dimensionals, which I've got out here. And we're just going to have a few of those on there. My little handle's not the strongest, so I might have to put something in on there. We'll just have a look in a minute and see if I can take a tiny weeny little piece off the side. And it is going to have to be a tiny weeny little bit. That's the good bit about the side of these dimensionals. Our dimensionals are exceptionally strong, which is fantastic. It does mean that once it's stuck on, it really isn't going anywhere, which is exactly what we want. So let's try and take a little piece like this, which you can see is absolutely tiny, and I'm just going to put it along on that piece like that, and we'll have the other little piece just down on the other side. It'll just give it a little bit of stability and will mean it'll stick down. The other ones I haven't cut out the centres. I only did this one because I thought that it would just come up over the edge and show. When it's on the white or against the white, it's not going to show, but if it sort of sticks out a bit, it does, and it looks a bit odd. So it's not the easiest thing. If you've got a craft knife, it's relatively simple. If you're doing it with scissors, it is a little bit more tricky. So it depends how confident you are at fussy cutting, but I wanted to show that you can make a really good card just out of the little pieces. So let's put this in the centre like that. I just want it off the bottom. And then put this piece down so that it just sticks. Have I taken the other side off of those? I don't think I've taken the back of those off, have I? It's a smart thing to do. Let's see if I can just take the... It does help if we have the backs off of these. Otherwise they're not going to stick, are they? I was wondering why it wasn't sticking. Right, let's hope we can just get this back up like that. That's perfect. Okay, so the handle is now sticking up quite nicely. We're still going to have that down. That's going to be with dimensionals. Now we're going to have one in on the side like that. And I think both of those are going to go flat, because it's nice to have different layers. You don't always need to have everything on the one layer. It's nice to give it real sort of dimensions. So that's going to tuck in about like that. And then that one can be tucked in on the other side. Try and get it as reasonably level as you can, but you can see now that those pieces, you don't actually need to cut out the centres because they're going flat. And then we've got these 2 little purses, which I think the purses I'm going to put up with dimensionals, because then that will give another sort of layer as well. So let's put this one in. I think we just need one on here, one of the minis in the centre of each one. And then we can put that one in just on the top like that. Whoops, and this one, which is just about to stick to me, can go in on the other side like that. Like that. So you've got your little row of handbags and purses in on there. Then this one we are going to stick up with a dimensional. So have I got some large dimensionals out? Or the standard dimensionals? Yes, I've got a piece here which will work. So I've got some, just the end pieces. As I've always said, I never waste anything. Oh, I've got one stuck in on top of the other. That won't work very well with it. I bet that won't come out. See what I said about once they're actually stuck together, they're not coming out anywhere. So that's going to have to be binned, I'm afraid. So let's see if I've got a new packet in here. I should have somewhere. I'm not going to fiddle around. I'll use some small ones. The minis are fantastic anyway. So let's just put some. Just have 3 of them like that, and then we can have our happy birthday bit. Now if you don't have these dies, you could always just cut it out on a little banner, or however you want to put the sentiment up there on the top. But it's just quite a nice fun way of doing a card. Let's put it down at that sort of angle, I think. Don't want it completely straight. I want it just at a bit of an angle. And I think that's a really fun card. And I've still got these 4 pieces here, which would work on another card. So just from one 6x6 piece of designer series paper, we've managed to create this lovely card with these on the front, with only the stamping on here, but a fun way to do a card. So thank you so much for watching me. Do look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.